Hi, everyone, and welcome. One of my favorite parts of my role as President and CEO at Payments Canada is meeting and talking with interesting people from across the payment ecosystem, both in Canada and from around the globe. I get to hear about their hopes for and ideas about the future of payments, and I am pleased to share that opportunity with you over the next 3 days. For today's conversation, I am joined by my former Payments Canada colleague and now CEO of BankservAfrica, Jan Pilbauer. Jan is responsible for leading BankservAfrica's payments modernization program that will anchor BankservAfrica's role in the future payment system. BankservAfrica's focus is on building a modern payments platform together with the Payments Association of South Africa and the banking industry. Welcome, Jan.
Hello, Tracey. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have you here, and it's great to see you, even though we're not in person. So let's start by hearing about your current initiatives. I know you've got a lot going on, and you're no stranger to modernization, having been involved with our massive modernization effort for many years. And I'm curious to know, what are your top priorities? How are you working through this modern payment initiative at BankservAfrica?
Thank you, Tracey. So first of all, I wanted to congratulate you on many things, but I think most notably, the fact that you went live with Links last year and the new RTGS for Canada, it's a major achievement. And upgrading RTGS is not a small undertaking, and I think you guys have done an amazing job. The second thing is I'm glad to see that Payments Canada Summit continues to be the platform in Canada where the payments ecosystem gets together. You talk, you brainstorm, and you come up with new ideas. And despite the pandemic, continue doing it so well, even in the virtual space. I think it's quite amazing. So to your question, 2022 is a very important year for us as BankservAfrica. So first of all, we are celebrating 50 years. So it's a half a century, which BankservAfrica has been around for. And it's quite interesting that many clearinghouses over this long history, their business model has remained kind of the same. And we are proud of that, right? Because we are serving the industry quite well. But what we are doing, we are celebrating the 50th birthday also with our new strategy. And we call it BankservAfrica 2.0. And it's really about everybody wants to be a platform, everybody wants to support the new economy. I feel that us as clearinghouses, we have to evolve quite significantly, and that's why we call it 2.0. And we need to be ready. And sometimes, you know, as clearinghouses, we may have a feeling that we can become complacent also, because sometimes we feel the banks, you know, they have no other place to go. They have to use our services. I think that time is over, and we will have to keep up with the development in the broader ecosystem. The second thing is our Rapid Payments Program, RPP, I think we all love acronyms, which is similar to your real-time rail initiative, will go live this year. So we have been working on it for 3 years, and now we are in market acceptance testing. We will go into a controlled go live or a pilot later this year, and then we will go into a full market launch. And what's interesting is as South Africa, we actually had a real-time rail or real-time clearing for quite some time now. We've had it since 2006. But what we are now doing, and it's quite different from what the other jurisdictions have done, we are building this new platform to offer an alternative to cash payments. So in many other jurisdictions, the real-time payments is something which is a premium service. It's usually more expensive than EFT and stuff. But we are trying to come up with a platform which is actually very efficient, very cheap, and it's addressing some of these low-cost payments which currently in Africa and in South Africa are mainly happening in cash. Then, of course, we need to keep running our existing business, you know, all the debit card switching, credit card switching, EFTs, 3D secure, and all that stuff. Now we are also a regional operator. So we operate in the 16 countries surrounding South Africa, and we run cross-border payments there. And last but not least, which is something keeping me quite excited, we started dipping our feet into digital identity. And we've learned as we work through the modernization of payments that digital identity or general verifiable claims like authorization, authentication is quite essential building block when it comes to payments. And especially when you start thinking about, enabling other parties to interact with the stores of value, like ideas like open banking, open finance, having a robust digital identity is quite important. So we have launched a major initiative with the community. We don't call it industry because it's broader than just the payments industry, but with the community, to try to get better how we manage digital identities and how we represent people in the digital economy. So that's kind of what we are up to.
Just a few small things, it sounds like. And I'm happy 50th, by the way. We turned 40 at Payments Canada a couple of years ago. That was a celebration for us. So congratulations on your 50th. I have a couple of questions for you. The strategy that you're working on, when do you think that you'll be in a position to publish that?
Yeah, so we will publish it probably also this year. As I mentioned, it's a bit of a celebration to our 50th birthday. We have been working on it for last, let's say, 12 months. Now we are in the final stages of socialization. One thing, Tracey, though, we've learned is that strategy is not what it used to be. Right? This idea, and I've had a lot of discussions internally and externally. When people hear strategy, they want to see a plan, they want to see a roadmap, and they want to see exactly what's going to happen over the next months to get you from, where you are today to where you ideally want to be. We have learned that once you create that, the moment you publish it, it becomes obsolete. So we will publish our vision. We will publish where we want to be, what BankservAfrica 2.0 means. We will explain how we feel we will be enabling the financial institutions here to do better job, how they support South African and other people across the continent. But we know the how will adjust, because month from now, we will probably learn something which we don't know today. So that's what we're gonna do. And strategy is more a vision, and we will probably take a little bit of a journey to get there. But what we are trying to, or what I'm trying to set for us as a company and across the industry is a bit of a Northern Star, or maybe Southern Cross, because I'm in the Southern Hemisphere now, where we actually are heading, and that we don't get lost sometimes when we have to take turns. One thing we've learned when you do industry projects, you take turns. You sometimes take a few steps back before you can move forward.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that statement, and I'm curious. You're ahead of us in the launch of your real-time payment system, but based on your familiarity with Canada and the ecosystem here, and what you're doing at BankServe South Africa, any words of wisdom, any lessons learned, any tips you can give me, as we start to think about launching this in Canada, and also, you talked about digital ID, just any insights that we should keep in mind that we can learn from your recent experiences?
Listen, I have learned a lot, and I think we continue learning. If I had all the answers, we would be moving even faster, and we would not be continuing to make mistakes, because we still do. I've learned a couple of things, because sometimes in the industry projects, when you are a network or you need to create this economy of scale or network economy, it's hard, it's difficult. It's difficult to have a coherent approach, align people. I know we've learned that let's not try to aim for consensus, but let's have enough alignment that it allows you to move forward. The one thing which we've done a little bit differently since I joined BankservAfrica 3.5 years ago, we tried to find people, we call it coalition of willing. So basically find enough people who can work together to make something new and try something new. And also I feel that the technology these days, it allows you to experiment a little bit more. And sometimes when I explain it, it's like 3D printing, right? 3D printing has revolutionized how manufacturing happens. When we started thinking about this new platform, we call it Rapid Payments Program for now, but we will have a better market name soon. We tried things out. We set up these APIs and we went to the banks and others and we said, hey, do you want to try something with us? Something new, which will be different than our ISO 8583 on the cards. And we kind of created excitement. And that's one lesson I think I've learned compared to when I was at Payments Canada, when we were trying to set the vision, we were trying to be the thought leader. Sometimes you can find yourself in a spot that you start believing you know better than everybody else. And one thing we've learned is that we cannot do it ourselves. So if we create this excitement and we kind of try to put aside that there are some people who feel that the banks could do better, some people feel that the operator could do better, sometimes the government could do better. Yes, we all could do better. But let's find people who really want to do something. Let's create this coalition of the willing, and let's try it out. And let's move, because you can make wonders today with cloud, APIs, microservices. But sometimes don't forget the business experience. And I have recently had an experience in Canada. You have to always remember the customer experience and what they expect from payments. Don't get too geeky on them, right? It doesn't really matter what's behind the scene. They want to buy something, they want to pay for something.
Excellent. Thank you, Jan. Maybe shifting a little bit now, we're virtual in our summit again this year, thanks to Wave. Well, it was Wave 5 when we made the call. It's Wave 6 now that we're actually in the summit in Canada. I'm curious, we look at COVID as a real driver of digitalization of all things, payments included, but it's also had a huge impact on our work environments. And payment skills in Canada are in demand, I think, in part because of all the programs we have going on. But I'm just curious to hear from you. You're in a completely different part of the world from us, but we struggle with, what does hybrid mean? We struggle with attracting hot skills. Like how has COVID impacted your business at BankservAfrica?
Quite significantly, like probably every other business around the globe, or most of them. We had to learn to do things which we never felt were actually even possible. This idea that we are running 24/7 operations, service center, people who are on shifts and they sit in this massive room with tons of screens in front of them, and now we all send them home with one screen or two screens, and they continue doing their job and managing all the different mission critical systems for the country. It can be done. It can be done. We learned that. And, people say never waste a good crisis. So I think we know now we don't want to go to the pre-COVID. Has everything worked exactly the way we would like? Do we feel that everybody is more productive working from home? I don't think so. That's, I think, something we as leaders, we will have to experiment with a little bit more, because keeping organization healthy, that's kind of another theme which we are running here at BankservAfrica. It's not only the healthiness of our business, making sure that we are sustainable, healthy relationships with our customers, but it's also healthy workforce. And the cohesion, when you don't come to the office, you meet, on Zoom, and you see people only, that part of them. It's hard to have this common culture. It's hard to build connections, to onboard people, and to unify behind a common purpose, or unite behind a common purpose. So I think we as leaders, we will have to continue being humble. And one other thing which I have learned, and it's probably quite different from my experience in Canada, the South African environment, or especially BankservAfrica, because it's the only company I have worked within South Africa so far, there is a strong hierarchy, and people still call me a boss, right? And that's a word which I'm not used to. So every time I receive an email, boss, or somebody calls me boss, I get like, oh my goodness, who is this boss here? So us as leaders in South Africa, sometimes we feel we need to have all the answers. And that's in the complex world we are currently living, where all these questions are coming our way. We don't have the answers. And us being humble enough, feeling strong enough that we can admit we don't have all these answers is quite important, because I think it creates connection and creates safe environment to try new things. And what I mentioned is that the world is becoming more complex. So what I try to explain to my colleagues here is, things are always complicated, will continue being complicated. But complicated for me means that you always find someone who knows how to do it. You need to just go and look for an expert, and they will have a way, they will have a formula how to, resolve your problem. Things like working from home and the new way of working, that's beyond complicated. You will unlikely find any expert, any CEO who has all these answers. It's complex. And what we mean by complex is you need to try and then admit if something doesn't work. And that's where we are. So we tried something for a year. Now we changed our landscape here. We changed our, physical space. And rather than forcing people to come and spend time in the office, we are now saying what we would like people to see coming to the office for. Rather than time commitment, like, okay, if we have a workshop or if there is a load shedding and you cannot work from home because there is no electricity, of course you come to the office. But we are learning, and we get a lot of things kind of wrong. But so far, the mission of the company or the critical operation hasn't been impacted.
That's great. Thank you for sharing. I think these are challenging times. There's no playbook, right? There's no playbook for this. One more question for you on the payment side. Here in Canada, at Payments Canada, we are watching the ecosystem. We have a lot of things in motion, things like CBDC, open banking, that are maybe not exactly payments, but very related to payments. And I'm just curious, what are the things that you're watching for in South Africa?
Yeah, and we are watching because we know we want to know what's gonna happen, what's gonna come our way, and are we ready, right? Because that's probably what people pay me for my job, pay you for your job. I wish I kind of knew what's coming. But the funny part is, as you mentioned, when we watch something, and I don't know if you have the same experience, sometimes when I start digging into something, I kind of convince myself that this is the next big thing. And then I learn, yeah, no, it wasn't the next big thing. So we'll see. I'm probably wrong with my assumptions. But today and the last few months, I have been digging quite deeper into the central bank digital currency and maybe even stablecoin to a certain level. I am now convinced myself as that the CBDC will, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. It will become our next generation of our currency. Like we moved from the coins, which were silver and gold, into paper banknote. I feel that digital version of our currency will be required. And that's because of all these metaverses, multiverses, people want to gamble in virtual casinos by virtual things. Banknotes are now not serving as a liability directly against the central bank, probably the new digital economy. I don't actually think that CBDC, on the other hand, even though we are watching it very closely, are gonna change that much when it comes to our business. Because I think the bigger change which the clearinghouses will be faced with, and that's what we are trying to prepare for, is if you continue having the payments experience visible, you will fail because people don't want to feel payment. And we have learned that through all these examples which became successful around the globe. I also feel with the CBDCs and everything else, people will want to have a complete ubiquity in terms of what they decide to hold their wealth in. We have loyalty points, we may have CBDC, we have commercial bank money, we have cash. I believe us as clearinghouses, we will have to stop talking about these rails. There will be different stores of value where people will hold their wealth, and we will have to find a way how to seamlessly move the value from one place to another. We will have to be able to clear and settle, CBDC, fiat currency, commercial bank money, maybe even some of the loyalty points or cryptocurrencies are, in the commercial space. I don't know, but I feel we will have to be this fabric under the scene, which is almost invisible, and people will not want to talk. Am I sending EFT? Am I sending a card payment? No. We will use, our chips in the watches or something, and say we want to pay because we want to buy these goods and services, and I want to buy portion with loyalty points, portion with something else. And I think that's a major challenge for us as clearinghouses to really become a real platform. That you sit above all of that and you almost make it invisible. People don't have to think about it. They focus on their core business, what they want to bring as a user experience or customer experience. And we will make all the underlying movement of the value almost invisible. Then you have to be safe, secure, and robust enough that people don't get worried if that's something that sometimes this may not work because it has to work all the time. That's okay. What I'm kind of getting ready for as part of the BankservAfrica 2.0.
Yeah, I think we have challenges in order to be where our members and our citizens need us to be when they need us to be there. Big crystal ball required to get the timing right on this stuff. Jan, it's always great to see you. Fantastic to chat with you. Thank you so much for making the time to speak with me today and for sharing your insight. I look forward to keeping in touch with you. And again, happy 50th. Congratulations on the strategy and the best of luck with the Rapid Payments Program or whatever you end up calling it.
Thank you so much, Tracey. The same to you. Good luck with the conference and with the modernization program.
Thanks so much, Jan.